Good morning. Greetings, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shwa, and I'm the host and founder of a podcast called Light Up with Shwa. It's a weekly podcast on conscious living and parenting. And under this topic, nowadays especially, I'm also addressing coronavirus pandemic, how people are feeling. So I am going to ask my guest about that later, but first we will have some other questions related to his expertise and what I have asked him, and you will know in a minute. But I hope you will subscribe. If you haven't already, please do so. Subscribe to Light Up with Shwa. I have a website. Please do visit, see what you like, what you don't, what can you suggest. It's lightupwithshwa.com. And I am available on most of the platforms, but my active platforms are YouTube, Instagram, Facebook has the links, and LinkedIn has, and Twitter and all. But it's available on Spotify, iTunes, Castbox, TuneIn Radio. I've added iHeartRadio, Radio Public. I don't know. They have all these new things coming up. So anyways, my guest today is a young man. He will introduce himself, but his first name is Steven. That's how I will address him. So Steven, welcome to Light Up with Shwa, and I hope you're having a wonderful morning in your home.
I am. Happy Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little dreary outside here in Boston, but yeah, things are going well.
Yes. So tell us your full name and what do you do and who you are.
Sure. So my name is Steven Snyder. I have been living here in Boston for about 7 years, but I was born and raised in Mandeville, Jamaica, and my family still lives there.
Okay.
I am currently a master's student at Harvard, studying sustainability and sustainable development through their extension program.
Okay.
And getting a master's program there. So I'm using that as an opportunity to kind of pivot out of my prior career in corporate banking into something more sustainable that contributes to my island home.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So what made you pivot from there? Like something triggered, something happened, you had a dream. What happened?
It was a long time coming.
Oh, okay.
My family moved to Jamaica to work as missionaries. They do a lot of social work in schools and different churches, education programs, and yeah, they really instilled the importance of taking care of our community. Okay. So I've always wanted to go back and work in Jamaica. And one of the big ways that I want to contribute is how the island prepares and is able to survive climate change.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I needed to go back to school to learn more about what is happening in this space and be able to have the skills necessary to work with other people in this field.
So following up with this, before I enter into other question, because this is relevant and our topic is environment, and that's what you do, and that's why you are in sustainable. What would you call yourself that you're working in sustainable financial sector?
Yes, okay. Exactly. Okay. And I'm doing that because I'm leveraging the skills that I had before working for financial institutions, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of skills, a lot of networking, a lot of technical abilities that are perfect for those industries that I can bring over into this more sustainability field. And I truly believe that when we're able to finance the right projects, we're able to have real impact and deep impact, enough so that we can prepare for major challenges that we're facing. For example, COVID-19 right now.
Right. This young man has so much to offer, and I want to get as much as I can out of his expertise, knowledge, especially being from Jamaica. I mean, people love to go and visit and do, spend their holidays there. And I would love to go not only for holidays, but I want to visit the place, meet the people, actually. And I haven't done that yet. And I live in the United States since, more than 3 decades. So I should be doing that. Hopefully, I hope I can do that. So what will this do after, when you're done with your education? I assume you are working already in this area, with your projects that I attended. I met you through your conference. So are you like really heavily doing that in order for people to learn about Jamaica and its environment? Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, and it was really great to meet you at that conference. Thanks for participating. What she's referring to is what we call the OI Conference, a partnership with Oikos International, a student group all around the world that focuses on sustainability in finance and management and how to inspire curriculum change by getting young leaders to participate in sustainability and learn about it. So the reason why I host events like that is to communicate to my community and to educate those around me about what sustainability is and how it can impact our planet. And like you were saying, I work in this space in sustainable finance, and I'm using these conferences as a way to not only meet people like yourselves and network with them and learn what projects they're doing, but also for myself to learn. Because we had so many presentations, and I got to listen into them and learn directly from those experts in the field. So one of the topics we discussed was sustainability and how the financial institutions, how those markets are moving towards thinking about people, planet, and profit. Now it's always been so focused on the short term. What are the next quarterly results going to be? Well, with sustainability practices, you're thinking not just about that. You're thinking about the long term and how your business decisions are going to impact the social as well as environmental aspects.
That's very good. And that's what is needed. And I wish that we had started early on. And thank you for thinking and doing that. And this is the hope. I think our young generations are the hope. And I think if they work with people who are aware of this issue and have been working on all these generations have a good they can combine together their efforts and really do good work instead of blaming each other.
Absolutely.
So, what is the situation in Jamaica, because that's why you are really that's your place, that's what you are passionate about. You want to bring the awareness also and contribute to the deteriorating situation there? What is the situation in Jamaica?
Absolutely. So you mentioned it at the start of how Jamaica is known as a tourist destination.
Yes.
And I love it. It's a beautiful paradise. You have the sea, you have the mountains, you have practically everything that you would ever need to have. And people love it. People love it. They come to Jamaica in droves. Yeah. But what has happened is that the island is, very dependent. Many islands are on tourism, and this is a problem, especially like now with coronavirus preventing people from traveling. Our economy has basically come to a standstill, and with this, boon that is tourism, it employs so many people and it puts food on the table. It makes our economy run. It also has strong environmental damages to the planet. So Jamaica has a problem with our coral reefs. They've been damaged from over tourism. So have our fishing stocks, which have been damaged from overfishing. So one of the things I'm passionate about is raising awareness for protection of our coastal resources, because without them, we're not going to be able to feed our communities both from the fish themselves and from the tourism dollar. So it's really important that financing happens of projects that are going to protect the environment, that they're going to protect our coral reefs and restore our mangroves and prevent plastic and pollution from getting into our waterways. Because then if we don't, we're going to end up losing these very valuable natural resources that we heavily depend on.
Okay.
So that's part of the current situation going on in Jamaica right now.
That's okay. So I hope it improves, and I hope you get all the energy and and to that point, there's a lot of people who are great activists in this space, and part of the motivation for me to transition, right, is seeing so many of my friends like waking up and talking more about the environment. You mentioned
at the start of this how it's important for the young people
Yes.
to lead in these charges, and I really see that happening now in Jamaica, and I want to be a part of that.
Okay.
I can lend my hands to help protect and grow my island.
That's very good. That's good. And that it yes, you are from there, but I also see it that it's not if Jamaica is good, if that island is in good health, then it affects the other the rest of the world as well. It is all connected. So we do think of our own spaces and places that, okay, that's where we are supposed to be. But I look at it as holistically, because if just like a body, if one place is not feeling, one of the organs or one of the limbs is not feeling well, and it's not doing so great, it affects the rest of the body. So I think that's how our planet is. So we need to have all the islands in the however it is, we can't get into the politics of it at this time, but however it is carved out, but it is one body. So that's important. Thank you for doing this, because I'm hopeful, because that will maybe trickle down to other islands and people, and it's good that you're doing it internationally, so people can I don't want to talk about too many tangents, because I was thinking of Maldives and Bangladesh and all the places that are in that kind of situation. Anyways, I'll ask you, what encourages you and what disappoints you in the matter of environment and climate change?
Yeah. So what encourages me so much is seeing the grassroots activism that is happening right now. Majority of your listeners have probably already heard of Fridays for Future, or Greta Thunberg, or Extinction Rebellion, or the Sunrise Movement. These are all very powerful organizations that have started from youth, coming out and saying, I need to raise my voice if my planet is going to survive, if I'm going to have a future. And so for me, that's what's really inspiring and motivation, is that, wait, if these youngsters can do it, me as a youngster as well, I should be doing it with them.
Yes.
But what is frustrating is that people are not listening to the science. That you have many people here in the United States, as well as elsewhere in the world, focusing on profit, focusing on material wealth and their personal status, instead of thinking about humanity and listening to the scientists who don't have any bias when it comes to this. They're just presenting the facts. So that's part of the reason why I went back to school, is to learn these facts myself and to be really question the data. And the data proves that we need to change the world we live in if we want to survive.
Do you feel in your research and in your experience that you have found that science can be also biased at times? Or I've heard, I didn't know either, because I was very blindly following the science, but then science is done by scientists who are human beings, and do they have their personal motives or fundings, or what goes on there? I mean, how can we find out that this is authentic information?
Yeah, absolutely. I think reading it for yourself and looking to see if there's actual studies done on this.
Okay.
You can quickly see if a survey or if a research doesn't make sense. You don't have to be a scientist to see that it doesn't make sense. Sometimes research is paid for by people to advance a specific agenda. For example, coal and oil companies have paid for research to show that climate change isn't man-made, right? And that these very limited studies that only look at very specific time frames can do that. So yeah, there are ways to play with the data.
Okay.
So to that point, we need to be both discerning and maybe even be focused on the real personal connections. Are we helping someone or are we hurting someone?
Yes.
That's a basic question that you don't need science to tell you yes or no.
That's true. That's true. Thank you. In your research, what have you found out? Like, who is the contributor of degradation of environment, and is there any? Have they improved internationally, or how is the data on that?
Yeah. So there are major contributors to what's happening right now in the world. When you think of who are the largest polluters, it really comes down to 100 companies that are the largest producers of coal emissions, of oil emissions, of all the plastic waste. And there are, for example, specific points where all of the plastic ends up in our oceans, of where it's not being treated properly. And if we were to stop these specific rivers, right, then most of the plastic would end up in our ocean. So yeah, there are specific companies at fault, and there are specific countries that need to do better. Okay. But without like laying blame on specific countries and specific people, I think it's important for us to remember that we all have a part to play in this. And oftentimes I've heard arguments here in the United States to say that, oh, China is the problem, right? Because they have so much coal, or they have so many people, or there's the plastic is their problem, they're not recycling. But the fact of the matter is we have to look at it on a per capita basis of how much pollution happens per person, because it's about lifestyle.
Yes. And
the American lifestyle, if everyone was to consume like an American, we would need 5 planet Earths to be able to sustain that sort of lifestyle, where we all drive our own vehicle, where we live in these massive houses, where we buy all of these plastic things, where we travel so much around the planet. We have all of these electronics, and I'm not trying to say that that lifestyle is bad. That's not the point. The point is that we have to think about, okay, this impacts the planet. And Americans, we have a huge impact on our planet.
Okay, so let's come to this. How can parents and adults or schools educate people or youth to be aware of this this area, that it's not necessarily we have to reach a level where we are getting suffocated and we have no clean water and the pollution is this and the other. How can we just educate ourselves that this is part of our life and we should be paying attention to it? Like now, if it is coronavirus, now we are suddenly stopped and the environments are, the nations are saying, oh wow, it's such a clean air and now things are better, this and the other. Why couldn't we pay attention to that a little earlier?